Hello, my name is Lauren and welcome to the Theoretical YouTube channel, where today we are exploring something other than Disney's pantheon of reoccurring characters. In fact, today we're taking a closer look at a Warner Brothers property. That's right, Scooby-Doo! I mean, obviously, because that's like the closest thing Warner Brothers has to the Sensational Six, right? But seriously, Scooby-Doo and the Hanna-Barbera expanded universe is a lot more complex and rich with lore than you might expect, with many reoccurring characters and in-jokes popping up throughout over half a century of content. And since Halloween is fastly approaching, we've decided to take a closer look at one of the most iconic, spooky franchises of all time, and some of our personal favorite characters from it, the Hex Girls.
I'm a Hex Girl, and I'm gonna put a spell on you.
So get ready to explore the adventures of three eco-goth rock stars in a world full of vampires, witches, and mysteries. So for such iconic figures as they've become associated with the Mystery Inc. gang, the Hex Girls are actually a fairly recent addition to the franchise. In fact, their first appearance wasn't until 1999 with the direct-to-DVD release Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost.
Zoinks! It's the witches! Easy, guys. It's just the Hex Girls.
Which my family had on VHS, where we were introduced to Thorn, voiced by Jennifer Hale, Dusk, voiced by Jane Widlin, and Luna, voiced by Kimberly Brooks. For future reference, Thorn is the lead singer, frontman, and guitarist, Dusk is on drums, and Luna plays the keyboard. They are an eco-goth band from Oak Haven, Massachusetts, where the gang is investigating a mystery involving witches and magic spellbooks, leading them to suspect that the Hex Girls are actual witches. Which is like, kind of true because Thorn at least is a canonical Wiccan, so there you go, pagan traditions positively represented in children's media. Anyway, the mystery eventually gets solved and the Hex Girls are free to perform their concert with a song called Earth, Wind, Fire, and Air about saving the environment.
We love the earth with all our fire. It's in our souls, our one desire.
I don't know, it's not my favorite Hex Girls song, but there's just so many to choose from. Seriously, for only popping up a handful of times, the amount of songs written for this group is impressive. But don't worry, we'll get there. The next time they appear was in the 2003 film Scooby-Doo and the Legend of the Vampire, which is probably the Scooby-Doo film that I've seen the most. This, Cyber Chase, and Aloha Scooby-Doo were the quintessentials of what my siblings and I rented from Blockbuster. Legend of the Vampire takes place at an Australian vampire-themed music festival, which is nowhere near the strangest setting for a Scooby-Doo story. The Hex Girls are scheduled to open the festival, but they get kidnapped by the Yowie Yahoo during their song Hoodoo Voodoo. Literally everything I know about vampires comes from this movie, which is coming in surprisingly useful for my honors class on fairy tales and gothic creatures. And so I'd like to thank Scooby-Doo, the Yowie Yahoo, and Hoodoo Voodoo for all existing in this very reasonable sentence. Anyway, so a vampire called the Yowie Yahoo kidnaps Thorn, Dusk, and Luna and offers them an all-expense-paid scuba trip off the Barrier Reef in exchange for dropping out of the contest. When they refuse, the Hex Girls are stranded in the outback, and the plot of the movie is the gang rescuing them in time for the concert. Of course, they get saved, and they get back in time, and it's a happy ending. The greatest Scooby-Doo film of all time. Also in 2003, the Hex Girls appeared in Season 2, Episode 5 of What's New Scooby-Doo? You know, the show with the best theme song of all time.
What's the Scooby-Doo? We're coming after you.
This one puts the 70s version to shame. I have never felt such a rush of nostalgia as the first time I heard this intro in over 10 years. And this episode ends with a Hex Girls cover of it.
What's a Scooby-Doo? Coming after
absolute genius perfection. Yeah, so the plot of this episode is pretty standard. The gang is invited to a castle in Transylvania to see the Hex Girls shoot a music video for a song called Petrified Bride. It's okay. And since this is Transylvania, of course they get attacked by a vampire, which is apparently very common in 2003. This causes so much tension in the group that they even consider breaking up over it. Oh no! But what were you expecting? Consequences? Come on guys, this is still Scooby-Doo here. The mystery gets solved, the Hex Girls shoot a music video for the show's theme song, and everything is right in the world. The Hex Girls' other major TV appearances were in the show Mystery Incorporated on Cartoon Network, and now streaming on Netflix. Hashtag not sponsored, but totally would be. Okay, so my brother and I watched this series for the first time over the summer, and it is absolutely ridiculous. Just completely random. The whole idea is that there's supposed to be a continuous storyline that sets it apart from other Scooby-Doo shows. But that doesn't really happen till season 2, and the writing is the weirdest possible take on these characters. Like, Fred is literally insane and reduced to a single character trait, which is a burning desire to trap things.
I'm tired of being afraid. I have feelings, world, for traps and Daphne. I'm a guy no more. I'm coming, Daphne!
And Scooby himself has the most intense lines ever. He actually quotes Rambo at one point. Anyway, the Hex Girls first appear in season 1 in an episode called In Fear of the Phantom, which is kind of a Phantom of the Opera thing. And it's also weird because unlike every other time these characters appear in the Scooby-Doo universe, the show takes the time to reintroduce them. So instead of being the band they met in Oakhaven, they're just Velma's favorite rock band.
I thought you had to be a scalper to get front row tickets for the Hex Girls.
Nope, you just need to know Velma.
I love you, Hex Girls!
Which, like, I don't know why that was easier. And then Daphne breaks up with Fred again and then joins the Hex Girls and sings a whole solo and song about love being a trap.
For traps and Daphne.
And then they catch the bad guy and solve the mystery, and Daphne does another 180 and unbecomes a goth rock star. But then the Hex Girls show up again in season 2, episode 18, Dance of the Undead, where they help Shaggy and Scooby stop a zombie dance apocalypse caused by an evil ska band? Which is not the weirdest this show gets. And they sing one of the worst Hex Girl songs, Good Bad Girl, and engage in a Scott Pilgrim style music battle with the evil ska band. And this is also around the point in the series where magic and aliens are real, but it's not actually addressed until Velma has a mental breakdown about it a few episodes later. But yeah, Hex Girls!
1, 2, 3, 4!
Most recently, and not really an appearance, the Hex Girls were on a poster in the background of a scene in 2020's Scoob. Which, yes, we paid to see. Definitely no Legend of the Vampire, but whatever. Maybe the most interesting thing to note about the Hex Girls is the image that they've consistently kept over the last 20 years as LGBTQ+ icons. Not that there's any real indication that they belong to this community in the text, but they have been adopted as figures that epitomize counterculture. And they're both wholesome yet edgy, alternative but mainstream, and yeah, they're eco-goth Scooby-Doo characters in an all-girl rock band. It's hard to ignore the appeal this would have had to a younger audience coming of age at the turn of the century who would have been experimenting with their identity through music, makeup, and maybe also witchcraft. But what else can I say? They're the Hex Girls, and they're gonna put a spell on you. Hello, what did you think of this non-Disney themed brief history, and would you like to see more Scooby-Doo content in the future? If so, please let us know. I would love an excuse to go back and watch these movies and TV shows again. It's just so nostalgic. Anyway, you can like this video, comment below for an opinion, subscribe to the channel for future videos, follow us on Twitter for pretty much no reason at @theory_central, and support us on Patreon if that's what you're into. But you could also just watch our videos. That's cool too. So thanks for watching. Vote on your favorite Hex Girl character in the comment section down below. Happy Halloween, and we'll see you later.